and welcome to We Women Want. Well, we all heard the Prime Minister when he's asked us to do our destination weddings within India and not outside. This is, of course, a response to the West Asian crisis, but otherwise, also, it's all part of the pride in India, the whole image, the cultural identity that this government and the Prime Minister is very keen for us to espouse. So, I have with me this week on We Women Want a panel of wedding planners. We're going to be talking to them about destination weddings, about why some people prefer to go abroad rather than India. Is it, I mean, apart from the exotic explanation, is it because of logistics? Is it because of the expense? What are the options that are there in India? And also, what does a destination wedding look like in terms of a normal wedding? Today, what are weddings all about? Because they're more like fun touristy packages than just the wedding where everybody gets to have fun and gets involved. So we have people here who organize these events. So we're going to have a very interesting conversation today on We Women Want. Joining me on the show today is Minal Bhatnagar. She is the founder of Marigold by Minal and has over a decade experience in planning weddings. Namrata Agarwal, she is the founder of Namrata Kohli Events, and again, she's been planning events for also about 7, 8, 9 years. Mandakini Lama, she's a wedding planner, event curator, someone who's come on our show before, again with lots of experience and lots of fun stories to tell us. Minal, I'll begin with you first. You know, we were discussing as to first question as, you know, why do people prefer to go abroad rather than India, and if so, why?
So I don't know if it's really a preference. I mean, it's definitely a personal choice, but it's not one versus the other. It's, in today's weddings have really evolved about personal storytelling, about customizing the experience. The weddings are very immersive and tell the story of the couple, of the family that's involved. Depending on the scale that they are looking at, is what really defines whether the wedding will take place in India or somewhere overseas. Because globally, the standard of hospitality is now, India is ruling the roast in how we put together weddings. And so it's no longer about a wedding only looks good if the backdrop is Tuscany and not, let's say, Udaipur or Jaipur. These are all, this is a decision that the family makes in terms of the experience that they want to bring forward. So I think weddings have become experiential and not performative as such. So it's not just about putting a grand show, and that's not what a wedding stands for anymore in my experience.
And is it cheaper? Are some destinations abroad cheaper than destinations within India?
Well, they could actually very well be, but it really depends on, again, what you're looking at, what are your numbers like, what's the scale. I mean, everything is about the scale. A lot of people decide to go overseas because they want to have an intimate experience. They want to throw in a little travel, a little bit more of the experience of the city. So again, it's your personal storytelling. Now, if you grew up in a part of the world where you would like to kind of sort of go back with that nostalgia and bring it forward to your with your guests and relive those moments, maybe you look at some other wherever that place may be. A lot of families that live in the United States, for example, come back to India to their roots to get married, which is what we call the big NRI weddings. But actually for them, it's their story. It's where their stories began, or their parents or their grandparents. So similarly, there may be a destination that the couple met in. And so, the next thing you know, you might be having an African safari wedding with just 50 people, because that's what their story is to them. So I think it's a lot about that. That's what Indian weddings have now evolved to.
But Mandakini, the fact that the Prime Minister made that comment, why do you think he made it? And, in terms of having weddings in India versus abroad, what are the factors aside from what Minal has already said?
Well, I think he's been promoting Made in India since he has been there, and which I truly also believe in it. And to be really honest, things have actually changed what was a decade ago and now, in terms of weddings as well. Earlier, the things were limited, and now, India itself has so many options in terms of it's a big wedding, small wedding, destination, off-beat location, anything you say, India has it. So I think the Prime Minister was trying to promote that if we have everything in our own country, why to go abroad? And it is the other way around, everyone is coming to India to get married. And he has set an example. Everyone has set an example to, do weddings in India. And that's what we all are trying our best to do. Yeah.
Namrata, in terms of destinations, abroad versus India, she's mentioned a South African safari. What are the other destinations that people look for abroad first, and then we'll talk to the Indian ones?
So I think abroad, the UAE had gained a lot of popularity in the middle with Oman and all of that. But I think now in India also we have so many options because we, whether you want like a palace wedding in Rajasthan or you want like we have you can do a safari wedding in Jim Corbett today as well. Yeah. And if you want the beach, you've got Goa, you've got Mahabalipuram in the south, which is also beautiful, not as popular and not as buzzing as Goa, but beautiful beaches there down south as well. So I think we have everything here.
In terms of the destinations.
Yeah.
So
I mean, even vineyards.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
she was
Nashik
supposed
has
to.
become such a popular destination.
Yes.
So it's, it's
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
And so the experiences also count, as you said, whether it's a vineyard one or whether it is a beach wedding or, or whatever. So, okay, now just tell us what all is involved in these kind of weddings?
I mean, initially, I think it's a thought process of coming together between a planner and a family, where there has to be some integration of thought. See, the easiest part of wedding planning is the logistics. So everyone gets that right: the transport, the travel, the ticketing.
That's what we are trying to bring
You
it
know,
back here.
hospitality. Everyone gets it right. It's a simpler part of the job. I think as a wedding planner and with our experience for over like more than 10 years now, the bigger challenge is to understand with clarity what the family is looking for in terms of the experience they want to create. And how, as a planner, are you involved with them and engaged at every point of that whole journey in bringing forward their vision? From like, gone are the days where while we are as a country equipped to have like a mile-long catered menu for every event from like, chefs coming in, flying in from all over the world. But families have curated like every little thing. If it's regional, then it has to be curated to the T. So food is also an immersive experience. It's no longer about, oh, we presented 200 different dishes and we had 100 desserts, which was, I mean, 10 years ago, that was the scale of a wedding. Similarly, the kind of performances, everything is more family oriented. You see, we recently did a wedding in Rajasthan where the couple, the wedding ceremony was their own personal vows that they spoke to each other and had their families recite, different chants and mantras. And they had no priest at the wedding. So that's another experience that, so you have to, as a planner, understand and not impose what you think a wedding should look like, rather than take from what they want you to translate.
Very well said. Yeah, some anecdotes or some experiences where you also...
Well, Meenal is truly right. I mean, it's for me also, it's the story, of the couple and especially of the family. And it's their personal touch. I mean, there are people who go abroad and do weddings. It's their story and they want to do abroad and their comfort level. But in our cases, if we have clients or NRI clients who wants to come back because they have their roots here, sometimes it's easy because families are there, that's what I'm seeing. But something that brings them back also, it's their emotional attachment, the story. They are not following, what it used to be earlier in weddings. They are doing what they feel like doing it. I mean, they are not following the trend as well, be it personal, minimal or large scale. Everyone has their, reasoning to it. And for us to deliver that is what matters actually.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, but what are the, Namrata, just walk us through a wedding, how would you, what all are the things that you would do anyway, apart from the extras? Is there a welcome drink, is there a welcome party? Because it's not just a destination wedding versus a wedding in, say, Delhi that you're invited for.
Yeah, I think it starts pretty much the same, and then you have like, room hampers, and then now we personalize the room hampers also, whichever region it is. You try and put something of that region in the room hamper so that it, gives that
touch,
you get that touch. And then there's the welcome dinner. And I think what's nice is that most families today, they still keep a little bit of that tradition, even if it's a destination wedding. They will have their traditional customs and all wherever they go, which is nice to see because it's good to know that, we're not losing our roots, even if we're going out or we're here.
Yeah.
We keep that tradition alive. So that's nice.
But you were saying they give their own, they like to recite their own vows. Is there, we did a show last time where a lot of women were saying that we don't like the concept of Kanyadan anymore. So
Absolutely. We
that's,
will
is
see
that
a lot of,
something, huh?
yes, a lot of that is. So while Namrata said we are keeping our roots alive, and it's very like we're deeply rooted in culture. If you see a lot of the, even in fact NRIs who come to India, it's interesting to see how they bring our culture alive. In terms of even the decor is all influenced by local crafts and aesthetics and all of that. But what they're
NRIs would do
seeing-
more, I think.
Absolutely, they're more, I think, proud of the roots that they come from.
They
and
also want to
feel connected.
showcase that a lot more because their
Yes.
guests from outside come and
Yeah,
they
this-
like to showcase the
But
Indian
the rituals,
culture.
I think, are becoming, if I may use the word, the patriarchy out of the rituals are slowly moving on, and love is taking center stage. So
Oh,
the
nice way of
rituals still
putting it.
exist, but I think love is what the main ritual for every wedding is, or as it should be.
Is there any interesting or fun ritual that you see someone has done or introduced? We early on we used to have all these wedding games also. Chahe Juta Chupai or finding the ring or something. But now that everybody's camped in one place, I'm sure there'll be much more of all that.
It's actually fun to see when foreigners come for these weddings and they follow the Indian rituals. Like I remember one of the wedding I did and the Juta Chupai part only. I mean the friends of the groom and the bride side, they took it really serious. It was like a tug of war for 1 hour. So the wedding was happening aside and they were fighting. I mean, I thought they were literally going to fall off the mountain. And how they actually see our tradition and culture, it's really amazing. And I mean, in terms of adding something personal, like Meenal said, adding your own vows. Like I said in our last time also, we are tweaking a little bit how, even the priest say or explain the meaning of the whole wedding is changing,
In fact, recently we had a wedding where there was a lady who
Yes, we
officiated
have
the whole
started
wedding,
doing
yeah.
that also, yeah.
Lady
They
priest.
they are a lot in demand now.
Yeah.
Musical feras.
Yes.
How does that work? It's like musical chairs.
It's actually quite beautiful because
Yeah.
you're getting married in this, like, it's a very immersive experience. So I think while the roots are very deep, like very rooted, there is a little bit of scope for evolution, which makes it more beautiful.
More personal, yeah. What is this musical fera?
It's basically like so instead of like the Panditji just speaking, it's like they sing it and they explain everything. So it's very beautiful. It's like a whole experience now.
It's like a recital.
Yeah.
So imagine your wedding is a recital of like different chants,
Ah.
beautifully recited.
Yeah.
And then there's narration, there's translation. So I think all of this is evolved with the involvement of the couples now. 10 years ago when I started doing this, families, as in the parents, would take center stage. Like they would decide because it was their kind of like sort of event for their friends and families and all. And the couples used to just show up for the meetings couple of times or whatever. Now they are leading the way. So the minute the youngsters get involved, then it's about how they want to kind of revisit the
Personalize.
same thing. So you're still doing the same thing. You've still got a haldi and a mehndi and a wedding and a reception and a cocktail and whatnot. But they're revisiting the same rituals and kind of reimagining it to who they are. So which is what makes weddings very authentic also.
Okay, I'm
Also
going to take a
what,
quick break. I'll come
yeah.
to Mandakini, but just a very quick break. So stay with us. Conversation is getting interesting. Hello and welcome back to We Women Want. We're taking a look at destination weddings, following the Prime Minister's comment that have your weddings within India. And as Mandakini said, that's part of his Make in India pitch. So why not weddings also here? But what are the weddings in India like? I mean, apart from the fact that destination aside.
Well, I mean, it is different, but like Meenal said, even the logistically, that's the whole different part. But when you were asking what are the destination in India, and I thought again, like, especially in abroad, the hot destination is Thailand. And back in my mind, I was thinking that do we have destination that can beat Thailand or Phuket or not? Some of the things in India, I mean, still cannot beat those destinations. Or let's say you have an off season, but Thailand is never an off season, So that's why it's easy to go and get married there. Now, no matter how much our Prime Minister is telling to get married in India, but in June we cannot go to Goa and get married. So
Yeah, you
there are
walked in
challenges.
saying busy season, and I was really surprised that summer is busy. So
It is. It is. I mean, to planners all across the world,
All seasons are busy seasons.
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
either pitching or you're executing, right?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
but-
And
Either
like
of
you're talking about the change, so we have a wedding in August, and they want to do like on 15th August because it's an off-season date. They picked a fort, and you know the climate is also changing, so the weather is not a problem anymore. But as a planner, it's up on us, you know. So no matter at what month we get a wedding, it's on us to make sure that we are delivering that, and you know they all are comfortable.
So 15th August, Independence Day, you're getting tired. Very good. I like the concept.
Yeah, they will remember it for
Will.
sure.
No, earlier, yeah, what are the dates people choose? Valentine's Day, of course, is one
Yes.
thing that I guess a lot of weddings,
Yes.
plus the weather is also very good. But do people like are certain dates or festivals considered
Well, in
auspicious?
India, we are culturally so vast as well. I mean, there's Sikh wedding, there's Hindu wedding. Some follow the date, some don't follow the date, some follow the weather, absolutely, the timing.
also
and
their own schedules.
their schedules, yeah. Especially if NRIs are coming from abroad and doing weddings here, their schedule matters a lot. Those who we are inviting, it matters a lot. So it is so much into detailing that literally now date is not a topic anymore. Like obviously there are very limited dates because of our Indian traditions, but we all have been experiencing the same thing. Like we do weddings throughout the season now.
In fact, a
Yeah.
lot of times clients come and say, but we are getting married in this off season. This is not even a peak season date. And we are like, there's no peak season or off season.
Everything
Yeah.
is
This
peak.
is just how it works.
Yes.
But Namrata, you were saying also that it's not just the wedding, but it's also you're planning. You also become sort of travel agents, tourists, because there's a whole package. You're going to a certain place, so you can't just be sitting in the hotel. You also organize places to go out for. Then there are parties, there are after parties. You have to cater for the whole day.
You have to make it a whole experience because you're also taking everybody there. You have to keep everybody busy over there.
Huh.
You have to, and then for a lot of people, it is a new place that you're taking them to. So you have to show it to them. You have to curate a whole experience. Like, even lunches today, like everything today has a theme.
The theme is another interesting.
Yeah, everything today has a theme. So, yeah,
And it's not just weddings. You guys do events also. So, 50th birthdays, 75th
They're actually as big as weddings.
weddings.
Acha.
And so there's nothing like a big or a small wedding or a
the
small
same effort.
celebration. Or
It's the
big-
same
It's the
effort.
same effort
You know,
and
we
planning.
recently did a 50th, like a golden anniversary for a couple years ago. They had about 350 or 400 guests coming to Jaipur and attending. It was no less than a wedding.
Yeah.
But it was just beautiful to see how people now don't, you just need an opportunity to celebrate. And scale does not matter. Nothing is impossible. You can do whatever it takes. But the family should be the center
Yeah.
stage of every decision.
But what I also like is that, the family and we as a planner were always mindful, but the families have also become very mindful and considerate. Like we were talking about the musical Fera. The reason musical Fera is also there is for the rest of the guests to understand and for them to be comfortable around the ritual that's happening. Otherwise, why would they care to sit for so long and watch the couple doing something and a priest reciting something which no one understands? But these things are making it easier for each and every guest that's coming. So it's an experience not only just for the family or for the guest as well, but for us as a planner as well. So, I'm happy that we all are moving towards there and, being considerate and very reasonable towards all this thing.
And do people offer casual themes or everybody wants to dress up?
No, there is casual thing. We do pajama parties also, I think, in
Yeah,
after
that's a big
parties.
thing, the after parties.
Yeah.
Where the bride and her friends will have like matched night suits and.
But even the casual has the casual has become a dress code itself. So casual is no more casual. It is so much pressure
curated
for
casual.
on everyone.
Barat,
Everything
they have
everything is
t-shirts
about
now.
engagement and curation.
They have
every
t-shirts and
little thing
barats.
is a
Yeah, they
pressure.
have
yeah.
T-shirts for the barat now because you dance and then you don't want
No, I knew
to.
there were
it's hot,
colored
you have these
safas to
mini
distinguish
fans.
the two sides,
We
but
just gave these fans at a wedding, you know. Every Bharati had their own
Yeah.
Yeah.
mobile fan when they were, because it gets hot.
Hot,
Yes.
So I feel like in personal engagement with every guest is
Exactly.
such a, and it's beautiful. Like
Yes.
there's a lot
Yeah.
to learn how now we are looking into what every little detail of what every guest will think,
That's right.
feel,
Yes,
experience
that's what I
at the wedding. So like Amrita said that you have to plan every meal, like every welcome lunch, every dinner, like sightseeing and all of that. That's also because the importance is for everyone to have a nice time. Not just to kind of do this performance. That we did
Exactly.
this 4-day
That's
wedding
what's
and,
changing. Yeah.
That's
That's
really
so nice.
evolving.
It's actually becoming more intimate, I think, which is nice. That
despite the scale is becoming intimate.
yeah, but I think now a lot of people are also going back to a little smaller scale. Like I think we're again moving away from that very large. In the middle, even destination weddings had become so large. So I think now again we're going back to that little bit of intimacy and.
And
a
do you have
smaller scale.
performers coming in to sing and all? I heard this Jaipur wedding where all the
Are you talking about Jennifer Lopez then?
Again, adds to the experience. Why not?
Of course,
afford it,
yeah.
yes.
That's what we said. We are capable of anything and
Anything,
everything.
yeah.
Like
tell us what you want.
exactly.
And I think that's the highlight of being in India as a destination. The vendor ecosystem is so strong. There's just nothing that you can't do. And we have reached a point where we are flying down people from all over the world to our country and creating that standard. So why go anywhere else? You know, we've got beautiful landscapes, we've got historical monuments that open up to you, you've got beaches, you've got vineyards, you've got Mussoorie.
I mean, we can
hill
create
stations.
Lake Como here. It's like that how resourceful we are as a vendor.
My only point that I would like to add here is that as long as you're sustainable also.
Yeah,
so
I
there
agree.
have been some malpractices around like damaging ecosystems
Yes.
at weddings. As long as you're mindful of that, I think the world is your stage.
Good
in
you
India.
brought that point about that, because there is a lot of criticism on the wastefulness of the food that is 250 dishes, the food that is left over, and do you have clients who actually say that if there is any leftover, we should give it to an NGO?
Everything has a pros and cons, by the way, but there's always a solution. Like, I mean, because I know very less people know about it, but, and I mean, as a planner or as someone who's getting married, obviously there will be something wrong or some cons about the thing and waste and all, but we try our best how to manage it. So like you're saying about the food waste that happens, there are NGOs, there's Robin Hood who comes and they take the leftover, but the caterer are so mindful that they make sure that even the food is not getting wasted. We as a planner are so mindful that we make sure we give the right count that the food is not getting wasted. If at all it's wasted, it gets consumed by the caterers team themselves. If at all then still it is getting wasted, then the Robin Hood or NGOs come.
So that's interesting. That's part of your calculation.
Yeah, and talk about the alcohol bottles now, all the glass bottles. Now there's an NGO online who takes those glass bottles and they make lamps out of it. So I used to feel very bad because I'm not promoting alcohol, but alcohol is a very important part in Indian weddings. And we've done so many weddings. There's like they are like a huge amount of those bottles. But I'm very happy to connect with such NGO and organization who can come and take those rather than that going to waste. And then obviously in production, in decor, the flowers, the fabric, less plastic. Like we have now clients saying that they want to do single-use plastic or no plastic at all.
That's become a
Actually,
big
for us,
thing.
sustainability is really in the heart of what we do.
Yes.
We also promote something called sustainable wedding. So whenever a client comes to us, we do talk about it. We don't impose it on them. But we've seen that whoever we've spoken to so we have
They
7
don't
or 8
mind it.
steps that we follow
Yes.
to make the wedding as sustainable as possible. Like you said, it's difficult. You can't like completely eradicate the waste, but you can manage it better, more mindfully. So, for example, using local seasonal flowers.
Yes.
Also, composting on site, which now there are
It's
NGOs that we work with who come and do it for you. So you
Exactly.
don't have to handle. You have to partner with the right people. We in fact recently did a wedding where there was no plastic bottles. So you have those tiny bottles that are kept on every dining table. We didn't have that. We got filtered, like sustainable reused wine bottles
Yeah.
that had water, and then so there are smaller things you can do. Of course, again, Indian wedding scale is something that is difficult to sometimes manage, but
we try our
plastic free
best. Yeah.
is a great place to start. Forest, you can donate, like you can, there are people who give saplings now as like
Yes.
mehendi giveaways. So things like that, at least you're kind of
Yeah.
creating a mood or a
Exactly.
sentiment of sustainability in your weddings, if not eradicating it completely.
So we've listened to the Prime Minister's words very carefully, and end of the day, I think India is a destination by itself, and it's already as the wedding planners have told us, there are a lot of weddings taking place here. You want the destination, you just name the thing, and they will cater to it. They have everything. India has all the answers that you need over here. But thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.